I now bring you the beloved Things Fall Apart by the great Chinua Achebe. Things Fall Apart, Chinua Achebe. Okonkwo is a man who has worked hard to overcome the shame of his father, Mr. Unoka, who was lazy, irresponsible, and heavily in debt. Okonkwo despises his father's weakness and vows to become everything his father was not. He becomes known in Umuofia as a great wrestler, warrior, and successful farmer. His wealth includes yams, wives, and titles, all of which earn him respect in society. However, Okonkwo's fear of failure and weakness shapes his personality. He believes that strength means aggression, control, and emotional hardness. He is harsh to his wives and children, especially his eldest son, Luoye, whom he sees as weak and unmanly. Despite his success, Okonkwo's temper often leads him into trouble. During the week of peace, a sacred period meant for reconciliation and harmony, he beats his wife for neglecting household duties. This act angers the gods, and he is forced to pay a fine. This incident shows his inability to control his anger even when tradition demands restraint. Later, Okonkwo is involved in the killing of Ikemefuna, a boy given to Umuofia by a neighboring village as compensation for a crime. Ikemefuna lives with Okonkwo's family and grows close to Noi. Almost like a brother. However, the oracle declares that he must be killed. Although Okonkwo is advised not to take part in the killing, he strikes the final blow himself to avoid appearing weak. This act deeply affects Noi, who becomes emotionally distant from his father. After Ikemefuna's death, Nuoye begins to question his culture and eventually converts to Christianity when missionaries arrive in Umuofia. This marks the beginning of a major cultural and religious shift in the village. Okonkwo's fortunes decline further when he accidentally kills a clansman during a funeral ceremony. This crime is considered a female crime, an accident, but it still violates the sacred laws of the clan. As punishment, Okonkwo is exiled for 7 years to his mother's village, Mbanta. This exile is a major blow to his pride and ambition. During Okonkwo's exile, significant changes take place in Umuofia. Christian missionaries arrive and begin converting villagers, especially outcasts and young people like Moai. They introduce a new religion, education system, and worldview that challenges traditional beliefs. A church is built, and gradually the influence of the white missionaries grow. Okonkwo struggles with his life in Mbanta. Although he is welcomed by his maternal relatives, he feels humiliated by his exile and spends most of his time planning his return to Ethiopia. He hopes to rebuild his status and restore his honor. After 7 years, Okonkwo returns home in Ethiopia, expecting to find a united and traditional community. Instead, he discovers that colonial rule has changed everything. The white missionaries, followed by the colonial administrators, have established authority over the land. They have built a government system, introduced courts, and weakened the power of the traditional leaders. The people of Ethiopia are now divided. Some have accepted the new religion and administration, while others resist it. Okonkwo is deeply disturbed by what he sees as collapse of his culture. Tensions rise when the missionaries build a church in the village and begin to challenge traditional beliefs openly. Some converts, introducing Ngoe including Ngoe, who fully embrace Christianity and reject traditional customs. Okonkwo feels betrayed by his son and considers him lost forever. The conflict between the colonizers and the Igbo people intensifies when the colonial government begins to assert more control. They appoint native court messengers and judges who enforce foreign laws. The traditional authority of elders and chiefs is undermined. Okonkwo tries to rally his people to resist the colonizers. He believes that violence is necessary to defend their culture. However, many villagers are hesitant, fearing the power of the colonial government. The unity of Ethiopia is broken. At one point, Okonkwo and other village leaders are arrested and humiliated by the colonial authorities. They are beaten and forced to pay a heavy fine for resisting colonial rule. This experience deepens Okonkwo's anger and desperation. When he is released, Okonkwo finds that the village is no longer willing to fight. He realizes that his people have changed and that resistance may no longer be possible. This realization fills him with despair. In a final attempt to resist colonial rule, Okonkwo kills one of the colonial court messengers who tries to stop a village meeting. He hopes that this act will inspire the villagers to rise up. However, instead of joining him, the villagers are shocked and allow the other messengers to escape. Realizing that his people will not fight, Okonkwo understands that his struggle is over. He knows that he cannot live in a world where his values and culture are being destroyed. In a tragic conclusion, Okonkwo takes his own life by hanging himself. Suicide is considered a grave sin in Igbo culture, and as a result, his body cannot be touched by his clansmen. Instead, it must be handled by outsiders. This final act symbolizes the complete breakdown of Okonkwo's world and the end of his resistance. Things indeed fall apart.